So if you're one of the innocent, you probably have no idea what catcalling is. No, it's not in fact the act of calling over your feline friend. Catcalling is in fact what some guys do to try to win over the affection of a female. It sounds harmless, doesn't it? Well, not exactly. Catcalling is what happens when a guy decides it's a good idea to shout at a lady from the car. Most of the time, it's a car. Sometimes it can be on the street or in a store. It depends on their level of desperate. They typically will say something along the lines of, "You should smile more," or "Hey baby," or "Babe." Listen guys, if you see a beautiful female on the street, the last thing you should ever do to her is go up to her and say, "Nice tits, good looking," because that's not how you get her to like you. I don't know why so many guys catcall. It makes no fundamental sense. Think of it this way. If I, a female, saw an attractive guy walking down the street and I ran up to him and grabbed his ass and went, "Hey baby, you packing a 10 in there?" Do you really think he would appreciate that? While some more piggish men may say yes, a normal functioning human would be very shook and uncomfortable. If you don't like it, then why do it? And not to mention, I've never heard of a story where it actually worked. I don't know what type of female you have to be for someone walking up to you and saying, "Hey baby, wanna come back to my place and ride this log ride?" actually working on you. I think any normal self-respecting woman would smack that guy or otherwise in the face. As a moderately attractive female, I've gotten catcalled a couple times. Never by attractive men or men my age. It's typically the same older or old crotchety old men who think it's okay to lure after a girl young enough to be their granddaughter. I actually did a podcast with a few of my gals way back on my channel if you want more in-depth stories, but that's besides the point. The first time it happened, I was in the parking lot of a local grocery store, just minding my business, walking back to my car. I was makeupless and 16, just buying some cat food and snacks because I'm fat. And I was walking to my car, looking at my shoes because I'm shy and awkward in real life. Then a group of probably college-aged or older guys pulled up in a shitty white Toyota, and the one driving, I weirdly remember that him being a blonde with a fairly unattractive face, said, "You should smile more, babe." And I just looked up super confused because there was no one else around, and usually people left me alone in public, especially when I didn't wear makeup. And I made eye contact with him, and he said, "Never mind," really loud and sped off. Probably thought I was ugly. I just remember being mad that I was objectified and then slightly salty that he said never mind when he realized I wasn't a 10 out of 10 blonde. The second time, I was going to a local podunk grocery store at the end of my neighborhood. Got a crack house attached to it, so you know the type of people that hang out around there. I was just going to buy some cat food for my feline. You can see the pattern here. As I was leaving my car, this truck pulls up and out pops this fat old man, probably in his 50s. He notices me and I can almost see the disgusting thoughts in his head. As I walked past, he said, "Hey baby," and I just sort of nodded my head and ignored him. I wanted to get the stupid cat food and get out of there as soon as possible. He made me super uncomfortable, and not to mention he followed me around the store, saying things like, "What, I'm not good enough for you?" or "Why won't you talk to me, baby?" As I got in line, he kept getting closer to me and whispering things I can't say on YouTube, but you can be assured they were disgusting. I got out of there as quick as I could and rushed home. I ended up crying to my mom because I was 17 and fragile, and that was a grown-ass, disgusting man. The most recent time, I was in a big city near where I live with a friend of mine. This friend was a guy, keep in mind. We were crossing the street with a lot of other people, and I was walking towards a really old man. When I say really old, I mean like 60 to 65 old. He was walking with a limp and had barely no hair or teeth. As I walked past him, he turned his head and said, "Damn!" really loud at me, and both me and my friend looked back at him in surprise. He was staring at me like I was some sort of walking French fry. Not to mention, there was a grown, tall male next to me, and not just walking like we didn't know each other next to me, walking like we were friends next to each other next to me. So I don't know what was going through his head. Listen, guys and gals, don't catcall, okay? It doesn't work, I promise you that. You just creep out the other party a lot, and it makes them very uncomfortable and they want to get away from you as soon as possible. If you're out there and you think catcalling is acceptable and you think it works, I want you to tell me in the comments as to why, and I want to know what's going on in your head, because it makes no sense to me as someone who's experienced it and someone knows, and as someone who knows how uncomfortable it makes me and how weird it is. And I've heard many stories from many other females about how creepy and strange it is. I want to know why you think it works. So if you're out there and you're watching this and you've decided to ignore me, ignore all the other girls that you've harassed, I want you to tell me why, because I'm interested. I want to know what's going on in your head. Because to me, catcalling is the most insulting thing you can do to someone. You're taking a person and you're putting them at the lowest level possible because they're not even worthy of a hi. They're only worthy of a, hey baby, nice tits, or hey baby, you got a thick ass, thicker than a Snicker, you know? It's just disgusting, it's despicable, and anyone that does that they're not self-respecting. I want to know who raised these people. Like, your mama raised you better than this. Your mama should have raised you to respect women and respect people. Like, if you're a female out there and you catcall men, it's not okay. Just because you're a girl, there's no double standard here. It's not okay ever. You shouldn't objectify someone you don't know. You shouldn't objectify anyone. It's just not acceptable to look at someone and be like, you know, they're hot and I want to put my dick in them, so I'm going to tear them down and make them very uncomfortable. Like for me, when that creepy man, that store, decided like, oh, I'm gonna try to hit on this 17-year-old even though she's young enough to be my daughter. Who does that? Does it work? I don't think it works. I don't know why they keep doing it. I've never, ever heard of a story where it worked. And I want to know, if you have a story where it did work, let me know in the comments below. If you think catcalling works, and if you've heard of a story where it worked, let me know in the comments, because I will be reading them. Because it's amazing to me that people think this is okay. There's a lot worse things that people can do, granted. As far as things you can do to make someone uncomfortable, catcalling is lower on the list. But it's still not okay to objectify someone like that. Especially when they're young. Like, especially if you're in your 50s and you have kids and you're catcalling kids. I was 17 and this man looked like he had children. Who does that? Who does that? As someone who has experienced catcalling, I can tell you that it just makes me really sad. Like, if you noticed in my stories, I cried twice. I cried when I was objectified because I didn't know how to handle it because I'd been sheltered my entire life. I didn't go outside. I didn't get hit on by boys in school. Nobody paid attention to me. And now these disgusting old men decide it's okay to do that to me. You know how shitty it feels to think that you're worth the size of your tits or your ass? That's not okay. That would be like judging a guy based on his dick size. He's only worthy because he's got a big dick. Like, that's not okay. You can't do that to someone. It's shitty because we all have feelings and we're all people. Like, I've got feelings. You watching this, you have feelings. The guy who catcalled me at that store, he has feelings. Do I care about his feelings? No, but it's just really, really shitty to feel like you're worth nothing more than your reproductive organs to someone or to anyone. Personally, I don't care what people think of me. But when you're young and you're a teenager and the boys don't look at you in school and you've never had a boyfriend, your crushes never like you back, and some creepy old man decides he wants to hit on you and he wants a slice of that, that's not okay. And kids, if you see someone doing this to someone else, tell them it's wrong. They might not listen to you, they might get mad at you, but it's wrong. Stand up for the girl or the guy in this situation, because it's not okay. Like I said, as far as things go that you can do to a woman, catcalling is lower on the scale, but it's still not okay. It's still not okay to tear someone down that they're worthy only because they have boobs or a nice ass. And if you do that to people, shame on you, you know? Like, even high schoolers to high schoolers. It's still not okay, because during that fragile time in high school, everyone is super insecure, and if you're telling these girls that their worth is based on their tits and ass, they're gonna grow up and be kind of fucked up, because that's not true. Sometimes I am thankful for the fact that boys did ignore me in high school, because I turned out pretty okay, and nobody objectified me in high school because I wasn't pretty, you know? Like, it's just shitty. It's shitty to do that to anybody. And it'd be shitty if some girl objectified a guy solely because he was attractive. Like, it's shitty to objectify a woman just because she's got a nice face, or tits, or whatever. It's not okay. Period, point blank. But anyway, I think I'm done ranting for now. Thanks for watching. Merch is in the description if you want to check it out. We still don't have a lime green hoodie, but buy that one anyway. Thanks, please. I need money. If you want to hear more about these stories, you can check out my podcast. Link will be in the description. I promise a second episode will come out eventually. Oh, man. Thank you for watching. Merch is in the description.